He's dying. For God's sake, get in here now. The words ripped from my throat, sharp and desperate, echoing uselessly off the white columns of our porch. Just moments before, it had been an ordinary morning. I still remember the way the sun painted soft violet and amber hues through the stained glass near our front door. It felt almost cheerful, absurdly cheerful, as if mocking what was happening just feet away. My husband, David Mercer, lay collapsed on the living room floor. Not resting, not asleep. His breaths were shallow, strained rasps that barely stirred his chest. His graying hair clung to his damp forehead, his eyes half closed and vacant. One arm twitched uncontrollably, a horrible, jerky movement like it wanted to escape the rest of his body. In 26 years of marriage, through joy, fights, vacations, and quiet evenings, I had never seen him like this. I dialed 911, hands shaking. This wasn't his usual acid reflux. It wasn't minor. It was fast, terrifying, and deadly. The operator remained calm and told me to monitor his breathing and wait for the ambulance. Wait. I could already hear the sirens screaming in the distance. Relief surged through me. Help was coming. Then everything went sideways. The ambulance skidded to a stop at the curb. 2 paramedics later, I'd learned their names were Parker and Lynn. Jumped out, grabbed their gear, and started running toward us. But they didn't make it up the steps. Standing at the bottom of our porch, like a gatekeeper from hell, was Valerie Hinton, the newly elected, power-drunk president of the Brookridge HOA. She blocked their path with one arm and a sheet of paper, speaking too quietly for me to hear. I shouted again and again, "He's having a heart attack. Get inside." Paramedic Parker looked up, eyes wide with confusion, then turned toward me. "Ma'am," he called out, "we're being told we're not allowed on the property. HOA orders. There's some kind of access dispute." My blood ran cold. Valerie's voice sliced through the air. "This property is currently under dispute per bylaw 12B. Unauthorized personnel are barred from entry until it is resolved." Unauthorized personnel? They're paramedics. I screamed. "He's dying." David's skin was turning pale gray. His breaths were slower now. I moved to drag the paramedics and myself, but Valerie stood firm, brandishing her piece of paper like a legal shield. "Landscaping violations and unpaid dues," she said flatly. "Access restricted." Parker clenched his jaw. "Ma'am, this is a medical emergency. You'll be facing trespassing charges," Valerie warned, eyes locked on him. "I'll have your badge." There it was, an HOA president threatening legal action in the middle of a life-or-death emergency. As the seconds ticked by, David's breaths grew weaker. Each word Valerie spoke, each moment they stood there frozen, was a countdown. Finally, Parker snapped. "Screw this." He shoved past Valerie. Lynn followed. "Do it," I screamed back. "Just help him." They started CPR, oxygen, defibrillation, everything they could. But deep in my chest, I knew time had already run out. At the hospital, under harsh white lights, a doctor approached with the face of someone who has said the same awful sentence far too many times. "We did everything we could. Mr. Mercer suffered a massive cardiac arrest. I'm so sorry." David was gone, and a piece of paper had helped kill him. The fight. The coroner's report didn't sugarcoat it. The delay in treatment highly likely contributed to David's death. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't stop seeing Valerie's smug face. That bylaw wasn't meant for this. It was about stopping contractors, not EMTs. That night, I found a note under our doormat. "Troublemaker. Watch your back." The next day, our neighbor, retired attorney Ben Crawley, knocked on my door. "I saw it," he said. "I saw Valerie stop them." I didn't understand at the time, but now, when he offered to help me take legal action pro bono, I didn't hesitate. Our lawsuit named both the HOA and Valerie Hinton for wrongful death and gross negligence. And it got worse. Ben's tech team recovered a memo from Valerie to the HOA board. No emergency personnel allowed on certain properties, even in urgent situations, without her direct approval. She had known, planned it. The case exploded. Media, protests, some hate mail, but also hundreds of letters from people with HOA horror stories of their own. We gathered everything: the emails, the memos, neighbors' testimonies. Parker and Lynn gave statements. One neighbor hesitated at first, afraid of property values, but finally agreed to tell the truth. It was enough. The trial. 6 months after David's death, I sat in a packed courtroom beside Ben. My son Josh flew in from his military base. His hand didn't leave mine. Paramedic Parker testified that Valerie blocked their path and threatened their licenses. Lynn backed him up. Then came the emails. The memo. Then me. I told them about David, who he was, how he died, and how Valerie had stood between him and the people who could have saved him. Valerie took the stand and crumbled under cross-examination. First, she tried to deflect. Then she broke. People like them, she hissed. They think the rules don't apply to their roses or their emergencies. The courtroom fell silent. The verdict came 2 days later. Guilty of involuntary manslaughter. Liable for wrongful death. The HOA dissolved. Valerie Hinton was sentenced. Her appeals failed. I brought David's ashes home in a heavy urn. Placed them on our mantel. I painted our house the color he'd always wanted. Swapped out the approved mailbox for a vintage one with a red flag. And with Ben and a group of neighbors, we rebuilt something better, a new coalition, open and transparent. A year later, I stood at the lake where David once taught our son to fish and released his ashes into the wind. He was gone, but he left behind something bigger. New state laws were passed, guaranteeing that no HOA can ever block emergency access again. It didn't bring David back, but maybe, just maybe, it would save someone else. And maybe that's how you fight loss with love, law, and the kind of relentless truth that can change the world.